Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah Sotah, Perek Dalet, Chapter 4, Mishnah Aleph, Mishnah 1. Okay. Now, as we know, the whole process of the Sotah starts when a man warns his wife not to go to seclusion with a specific man, and she does so. Now, and then if he did it, with witnesses, the witnesses come to the local beis din, testify in front of the local beis din, and then the husband takes the woman to the Sanhedrin, the highest court, for drinking the bitter waters. Now, our Mishnah is going to talk about situations of 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 where a man can warn his wife not to go into seclusion. If she does, she will become forbidden to him. However, he will not be able to give her the bitter waters to drink. So the Mishnah reads, Arusa v'shemeres yavim. And Arusa, we translate loosely as a woman who's been betrothed to a man. It means a woman who kedushin, the first part of the marriage process, giving her the ring, let's say, that makes her his wife. It's his wife. If they're not gonna, and she cannot go off and marry somebody else, she needs a get, she needs a bill of divorce. However, they are not completely husband and wife until they go to the chuppah. So now, a man has an arusa. He made erusin on a woman, and he warned her not to go into seclusion with another man. And she did it, specific man. And she went and she did it anyway. So now, what happens to her? So the Mishnah says, so what's going to happen to her? Or, Shemeres Yavim. Shemeres Yavim means that a woman was married, her husband died, they had no children. Now she falls to Yibam, to his brothers. One of the brothers has a mitzvah to marry her. If he doesn't want to marry her, he gives her chalitza to free her. And while she is in the state of after her first husband has died, one of the brothers have not yet married her in Yibum, she's called Shemeres Yavim, literally means waiting for the Yavim. In this state, she may not go and marry another man. It's not adultery, but she may not go and marry another man. Now, in this case, the Yaveh, meaning one of the brothers, who did not make Yibum on her yet, went over to her and warned her not to go into seclusion with a certain man. And she did it anyway. So what's the law by her? Says the Mishnah, Loi Shaises, they do not drink. Meaning, they actually become forbidden. The Arusa becomes forbidden to her Aris, the betrothed woman becomes forbidden to her groom, but he can't give her the water to drink. Because the Torah, as we're going to see, because the Torah only talks about the bitter waters when a woman is completely married. But if she's not completely married, the bitter waters are not administered. Well, if she becomes forbidden and the bitter waters aren't administered, then what does the future hold? The future holds he's going to have to divorce her. In the case of the Arusa, he's got to divorce her. He's not allowed to live with her, but he can't marry her either. So he's got to give her a bill of divorce. In the case of the Arusa, the Shemeres Yavim, none of the brothers can do Yibam on her, and therefore they're going to have to do Chalitza, because she is bound to him. She can't marry somebody else until Chalitza. So in both those cases, Loi Shaisis, they will become forbidden, but they will not drink. V'loi Noitlus Ksuba, nor will they take their Ksuba. Now, when a man divorces his wife, that is when the Ksuba payment becomes due. That's when he has to pay her the monies that he spoke about when they first got married. Now, in this case, we say, as we said, he's got to he's got to divorce her, right? He's got to divorce his wife. He's got to divorce the Rusa. Well, when he divorces her, is she going to get a ksuba? Says the Mishnah, no, she's not. Because you know why he had to divorce her? Whose fault was it? Whose fault was it? Whose actions caused it that he's divorcing her? Her actions. And therefore, she loses her ksuba. If she is the cause, if in cases where she is the cause of the breakup of the marriage, such as here, where she acted inappropriately, then we say she loses the rights to the payment of the ksuba. Now, how do we know that in both these cases there is no drinking of the water? Shenamar, as the Torah states, Asher siste isha tachas isha. A woman will stray from under her husband. That implies under her husband, prat la arusa b'shemeres yavim. That means she has to be fully married to drink the waters, to the exclusion of an arusa, a betrothed woman, and a woman in the state of waiting for Yibam. Okay, that's the first case of the Mishnah. Next case. Almana l'kohen gadol. If an almana is married to a kohen gadol, can a kohen gadol marry an almana? No, he's not. He's not allowed to. But if he does kedushin on her, she's married. If he does chuppah on her, she's married to him, but he's not allowed to live with her. Now, you have an almana married to a kohen gadol, right? They're not allowed to be married, and the kohen gadol says to her, "Don't go into seclusion with that man," and she does it anyway. So now she became a Sotah. So besides the fact that she's forbidden to him because she's a widow to a kohen gadol, she's also forbidden now because she's a Sotah. Or let's say grusha v'chalutza l'kohen hedget. Or let's say that was the case of an almana to a high priest. Now we have grusha v'chalutza l'kohen hedget, a divorcee or a woman who chalitza was performed on from a different marriage. They're not allowed to marry a kohen hedget, a regular kohen. Kohen hedget means a regular kohen, not the kohen gadol, not the high priest. So they went ahead. Again, in both these cases, and all of these women cannot be married to these men. They're not allowed to be married to them, but they were. And he warned her not to go into seclusion, and she did it anyway. Or, mamzeres unasina li Yisrael. They're a woman who's a mamzeres or a mamzer, that would be the male form, is a child born from a forbidden union, meaning from a forbidden union, that is punishable by kares or execution. Okay? If, let's say, a person, God forbid, commits incest, there's a child born from that, that's a mamzer. Or let's say a child born from an adulterous union, that's a mamzer. Or a child that's born from a parent who is either a mamzer or mamzeres. The Torah forbids cohabitation between a mamzer or a mamzeres and a regular Jew. They're not allowed to be married. But they were. Same story as before. Or a nesina. Now, what's a nesina? A nesina, which is the feminine for the nesinim, the individual woman would be a nesina, a man would be a nasin, is a descendant of the Gavonim, a group of Canaanites who tricked Yehoshua into making a peace treaty with them. Although they converted to Judaism, they became forbidden to marry a regular Jew. So we have here two cases of women who are not allowed to marry anybody. I shouldn't say anybody. A regular Jew. Okay, they were married. They were not allowed to be married, but they were married. And again, the husband warned her not to exclusion with a certain man. She did it anyway. Okay, so now again, she's forbidden because of the whole marriage is forbidden, but she's also has a forbidden because she has the status of a Sotah. Or, so that was a mamzeres and a sina, the female married to a regular Jew, ubas yisrael mamzer l'sin, or let's say the husband's the mamzer, and the woman is a regular Jew. She's not allowed to marry mamzer or nisin, but she was, and again the whole story plays out. So what happens to them? Do they drink the Sotah water? Says the Mishna lo sheises. They don't drink either, because again we derive from the words of the Torah that the Sotah water is only given in a situation where the marriage is meant to remain. It's meant to be a marriage. If it's not meant to be a marriage, they're not going to drink. However, says the Mishnah, but neither they're going to take a ksuba. Now, very interestingly, if an almana is married to a kohen gadol, he married her, right? He wrote her a ksuba, and then he divorces her he breaks up the marriage as he should. The halacha is, even though it's a forbidden marriage, he pays her a ksuba. Pays her a ksuba. Now, but in this case, says the Mishnah, she doesn't get a ksuba. Why? Because he's divorcing her, not only because here the situation is that besides for the fact that she can't be married to him regularly, she became a Sotah. And now she became a Sotah. She now created another reason for it to be forbidden to him. And because she did that, therefore, she is going to lose her ksuba. As I bring down here in the notes, she should not be treated more leniently than a wife in a permitted marriage who would lose her ksuba for such behavior. Right? A woman who can be married to her husband would lose the ksuba. So what are you going to say? She doesn't lose the ksuba because she anyway was forbidden to him. So what's the difference? We don't say that. we say that she's not going to be treated more leniently than a wife in a permanent marriage. And any woman who brought upon herself the status of a Sotah loses her ksuba. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.